Hello YouTube, my name's Mike, Vinyl Spiral, and I'm responding to Rob Walker's Vinyl Tag 2023. Rob said that vinyl tags are a really good way to get into YouTube vinyl community, and I'm taking him up on that. This is my first video, so here goes. First one, favourite album of 2022. It's this one by a singer called Gwenno. It's called Trésor. It's sung in Cornish and a couple of tracks in Welsh, and Trésor in Cornish means treasure. And that's my favourite album of 2022. Question number 2, last band I saw. Saw these guys in November. They're called John. This is their album Nocturnal Manoeuvres from about 18 months ago. John are from Crystal Palace in London, and they consist of 2 people. There's John on the drums and vocals, and another John on guitar. I've seen them live a couple of times, and they're always really brilliant. So that's John. Next, a band whose first album was their best. Well, in my opinion, UB40's 1980 album, Signing Off, is their best album. It really captures the spirit of 1980 in Great Britain, and their other albums subsequently were a little bit more commercial, so that's why I like this one the best. So that's UB40's Signing Off. Next up is a hat trick, and the hat trick is this one, Led Zepp 4. Here's a vinyl, and here's a CD. Now, unfortunately, don't have any cassettes, but I do have this little book, part of the 33 1/3 series. It's by Eric Davis, and it's basically him writing about his love of Led Zepp 4. So there you go, that's my hat trick. Next up is an album that starts and finishes with the same letter, and I've gone for this one. It's a 2016 debut by Let's Eat Grandma, and it's called iGemini. Great album. They're a duo from Norwich in the UK, and I think they're great. Next up is an artist born the same year as me, and I've gone for Toyah Willcox. This is her debut album, Sheep Farming in Barnet. Next, most listened to album. On another day, this might have been my favourite album, but certainly my most listened to this year, and it's Life on Earth by Hooray for the Riff Raff. So this is a really good album. I wouldn't know how to describe the music really, but I think they themselves sort of describe the music as being nature punk, so we'll go for that. But it's a really good album. Next is most listened to artist, and I've gone for PJ Harvey. As many of you will know, PJ Harvey has been releasing a back catalogue on vinyl, along with accompanying demos of those albums, and this is the demos of Let England Shake. Like many people, I wasn't buying vinyl in the 1990s when PJ Harvey was getting going, so I didn't have a lot of her early stuff on vinyl, and this was a great opportunity to get hold of it. So I've been listening to a lot of PJ Harvey, so most listened to artist. Next up, an Australian band, and I've gone for these guys. That's Amyl & Sniffers from Melbourne. This is their latest album. It's called Comfort to Me. There they are, got the pictures, and it's great punk. Went to see them in the summer, and they were brilliant. So that's my favourite Australian album, favourite Australian band. Next question. A surprising purchase. Well, it's this one, K-Mango by Les Baxter and his 101 Strings. This was recorded in 1970. It's a record store day purchase. I can only really describe this music as being sort of easy listening Latin music. It really grows on you. It really is nice to listen to. Not the sort of thing I would have normally bought, but I often like to buy something a bit quirky on record store day, and this is it, and I wasn't disappointed. So my surprising purchase. Next up is a band that I'm complete on. Well, I have the studio albums of this next band. They're from Lancaster in Lancashire. They're a duo, and they're the Lovely Eggs. This is their first album, If You Were Fruit. They're a married couple from Lancaster, as I say. David plays the drums, and Holly plays guitar and does most of the vocals. This is our second album, called Dominoes. Third one, Wildlife. Fourth one, This Is Our Nowhere. I think that's a great photograph. Fifth one, This Is Eggland, and the cover artwork is by a guy called Casey Raymond. And Casey did the artwork for this album, the next album that I'm about to show you, and quite a few of the singles, and I think it's great. And the final and most recent album is I Am Moron. So that's a band that I'm complete on. Seen them lots of times, and they're brilliant. Right, a run of 3 albums. So I've gone for 10,000 Maniacs from 1980s. This is our second album, Wishing Chair. At the time, Natalie Merchant was doing the vocals, and I understand she's got an album out quite soon this year, so I'm looking forward to that. So this is the first one, Wishing Chair. They followed this up with In My Tribe, which has the absolutely beautiful Verdi Cries on it, a song that's been covered by quite a few artists. And finally, the fourth album, third in my run here, Blind Man's Zoo. So that's a run of 3 brilliant albums. Next up was Native Soundtrack, and I nearly gave up on this. I thought, I just don't have one. I've got some 70s soundtracks, I've got some contemporary soundtracks, but nothing from the 80s, except finally came across this. Breaking Glass, Hazel O'Connor from 1980. So it just squeaks in. Has a single that was quite big in the UK at the time called Will You. It's not a brilliant album, but it's not a bad album. But it's a soundtrack from 1980. Next, someone we sadly lost in 2022. And the person I've gone for is Alan White. If you don't know, he was a drummer. I believe he played on some of the tracks on George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, but that might be wrong. But I think he did. But I know him best as drummer for Yes. So after Bill Bruford left, Alan White took over his seat, and this is the first studio album of Yes that Alan played on. It's Tales from Topographic Oceans, and there you go. Lovely album. One of my all-time favourite prog albums, but that's Alan White, who's sadly passed away this year or last year. Question number 15 is a disappointing purchase. We didn't really have many disappointing purchases this year, but I did pick this up at a record fair, and I think it cost me about £2. But there it is. It's the Photos' first album, and as you can probably see, the label has been stuck on off center, and it just goes into the last minute or so of the final track on side two. But hey, you know, £2. Maybe I should look a bit more carefully next time. But that's it. That was a slight disappointment. This next one certainly wasn't a disappointment. And it's a Grail. Or is it? No, sorry, next question is a non-vinyl item, isn't it? And it's this. Let's Do It. The Birth of Pop by Bob Stanley. So Bob Stanley is a member of St Etienne. This is a book that covers the history of popular music from the 19th century right up until about 1950. And from 1950, he's got another book called Yeah, 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 which covers pop music from 1950 up to present day. Bob's a brilliant writer, brilliantly researched book, a fantastic read. So that's my non-vinyl item. So next off is a Grail, and this was not a disappointment in any way. I don't really go for, you know, Grails, but there's albums that I kind of look for when I go to record fairs, and I've been looking for this for a while. It's Vandergraaf Generators, Pawn Hearts. I think it's the second or third pressing. It's in lovely condition, didn't cost me very much, and I'm absolutely thrilled with it. So that's my Grail, Vandergraaf Generators, Pawn Hearts. Nearly there. Next one, a space-themed album, and I've gone for this one. There we go, lovely cover. On the inside, there we go. Very much sort of astronomical sort of pictures. It's called Mary Cassio, Journey to Cassiopeia, and it's by Hannah Peel. And Hannah Peel is a synth player. She often does quite classical pieces. She appears on BBC Radio 4 quite often. But this is a lovely album. It's she's accompanied by a brass band called Tubular Brass. Tubular Brass, I believe, formed specifically to play with Mike Oldfield, and now they do quite a lot of contemporary music where a brass band is required. So if you like synthesizers and brass bands, then this is the album for you. The tracks are very sort of space themed as well. It's called Goodbye Earth, Sunrise Through the Dusty Nebula, Deep Space Cluster, Andromeda M31, and then on side two, Life is on the Horizon, Arcade Orange Dwarf, and The Planet of Past Souls. So that's my space-themed album. Number 19, VCLT or a gift. Well, this is my first YouTube video, so obviously no VCLT, but I did receive gifts at Christmas, and this is the latest album by Jenny Haval, a gift from my son, and it's called Classic Objects, and I'm pleased to have it in my collection. And finally, an album from 50 years ago, from 1973, and I've gone for this one, T-Rex, Tanks. So there you go. So that's a lot. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm certainly enjoyed making it. So see you soon. Bye.